right, so we'll begin with a discussion of roles for this committee.
Well, I probably won't be alone in saying I'm trying to evade any formal duties because of all the other duties I have in town at the moment. But I could take clerk if whatever that means for taking some notes or assignments for the committee.
Erica, maybe you could explain your role here. I know you're supporting the committee, but perhaps you could, is being clerk something you could do?
I am not a committee member, so I cannot be the clerk. I will, however, take minutes of the any decisions that are made and who's in attendance of each meeting. I'm not sure if we decided we would post them or not, but we will have them. And I will take those.
Can I make a request that people turn off their mics if you're not speaking? There's a lot of background noise. I'm having trouble hearing.
Does that answer the question?
It does answer the question, though. It raises another question of then what exactly is the duty of the clerk in this committee?
That's a great question.
Honestly, I think we primarily need a chair, and I'll volunteer to be chair unless somebody wants to be chair, and then we can have like an election and see who gets the most votes.
Anyone else?
I just would like to
volunteered for vice chair.
Very good. I'd like to make a motion then that we accept Joyce as chair and Paul as vice chair, and we pass on the clerk position if Erica's going to be taking minutes.
Second that.
And I did hear that, Brant, you would be willing to be clerk if we do need one, so I can
You need a clerk
touch.
for whatever that means.
Okay.
Filing all of our formal papers.
So we should take a vote on the motion made.
I'll second it if nobody else did.
Yeah, if you can act as chair until we have the no, hold on. Yeah, there we go. If you can act as chair until we're officially elected, that'd be great, Erica.
So let's have an official vote, and I can see, do we do votes with words or with hands or
Usually we do
remote, you have to do roll call.
Okay. Great, thank you. So we're just going to do it in the same order we did before, starting with Brant and then Judy.
I'll vote yes.
Yes.
Joyce and then Paul.
Yes.
Paul, you were muted.
Yes.
Doug and then George. Doug, you're muted. We'll do George and then Michael.
Yes.
And I vote yes on the motion made for the chair and vice chair and clerk.
I cannot get Doug to unmute. I believe we have enough yes votes to pass this. Is that correct? Great.
Okay.
And does that mean, Joyce, you take over from here?
I can, sure. I've got to pull up that agenda, which I just had up a moment ago. Here we go. All right, so we've got the roles taken care of. Second item is to review the mission of the committee and discuss what issues to be focused on. And so everybody has this in their email, but I'll just read it out loud to remind everyone. The mission: the solar and electric storage industry are growing at a fast rate. Massachusetts general laws allow for the siting and construction of such facilities that may result and limited or no local review. While Whately is very supportive of developing and supporting energy creation, storage, and use to help mitigate climate change, we are concerned with potential environmental and community impacts. This committee is constituted to look at various tools that could assist the community in helping ensure proper and safe development of electric storage systems. This may include such ideas as deeded property protections, zoning and/or general bylaws, as well as local licensing. The committee is an ad hoc committee, not subject to open meeting law requirements of posting of meetings and minutes, but will endeavor to provide those records. The committee will report back to the select board with recommendations. So that's, we kind of got a not particularly specific charter here. We could take this in a lot of directions, but we're really just looking at how do we do, support, say, energy storage systems and still maintain safety and environmental impacts and community impacts. I myself, I do not have a preordained idea of what we need to do. But I would open the floor to anybody who would like to, who has an idea of what the committee might do more specifically than what the mission says.
Well, maybe I'll just put, if you're moderating, why don't you
Sure.
just recognize people as they raise their hand or wave?
Okay. Yeah, I sort of saw Paul's hand go up and yours. So how about Brant, then Paul?
Sure. Well, I think one thing that we as a committee have to grapple with is whether we're effectively going to be like the Whately branch of Wendell's no assault and batteries, meaning that like there's kind of a overt or maybe not so overt mission to look at how we can stop batteries from coming to Whately. We could, I don't fully understand what the research that No Salt and Batteries has put together on the risks and really what their specific, more general issues were. But I think there's this issue of what we're trying to achieve in the large. And then I think I know Judy's going to speak to her memo. I'm sure there was a comment about streamlined local permitting for battery storage systems below a certain threshold. And it seems like at least another thing that this committee might take on is thinking about what that might be. So those are two things I wanted to put out there, and of whether we're going to be focused on stopping batteries and whether we're going to work on local permitting for battery storage systems. And we could do both. We could do one or the other. And there are other things we could do, of course.
I see Paul next. Yeah.
Yeah, what I wanted to say was that I wanted what we do. I do want our minutes posted. I think we should be transparent and let people know what we're deliberating on and how we feel about it. With regard to what Brent was just saying, I certainly don't have a negative view on batteries like Wendell and Shutesbury. In fact, I'm more pro solar energy, but I'm also pro Whately not getting exploited by outside business interests coming in to use our environment for their profiting off of whatever it is they're going to do, how much battery storage they're going to put in, or how the systems are actually going to work. So I think we have to be certainly cognizant of the sort of political economic perspective there, and make sure, being a solar energy advocate myself and renewable energy, and of course I'm a climate change fighter, those goals weigh heavily in my evaluation of whatever we're presented. I assume that in the future, if company X wants to come in and put, 100 megawatts worth of battery storage or whatever megawatt hours, that we can deal with that issue in a fair but thorough way and ensure the safety of that system to Whately residents and the environment. So that's my 2 cents.
Okay, I see Michael's hand up. Go ahead, Michael.
I've got a couple of cents also to add in just from a public health perspective. So the 4 areas that I'm concerned about for public safety around the battery include thermal, runaway, and just heat potential for extreme heat or extreme cold, and making sure that whoever we work with is cognizant and of all of these issues. The other is thermal, mechanical, including the installation. The batteries themselves don't have any vibration that can affect the mechanical function. Then there's electric short circuits for the batteries, and then also the age of the batteries. So charging, discharging cycles, the number of high cycles. I think all of those are public health concerns that I want to keep an eye on while we draft these ideas.
Okay, I see Judy. Go ahead.
You're gonna have to unmute, Judy.
Yeah, Judy, I can't hear you. Hmm. Hmm. Could whoever is
about that.
oh, there you go.
My concern is to get a better sense of the safety of these very large battery systems. I think Michael has outlined some issues, especially the very, very large ones where if something bad doesn't happen, it's going to be big. And my career was based on risk analysis. I know that very, very low probability events that are catastrophic are ones that you should take account of, even if they're very, very low probability. And we should be aware of that. I'm also concerned that we establish a regulatory system that allows whatever is built to be monitored on an ongoing basis to make sure that it stays safe. Everything I read about batteries is that they're not a problem if they're installed correctly, if they're maintained correctly, if people are adequately trained to manage them. And one thing I know about zoning is that the permitting process and the actual process of getting things installed is generally pretty good, I think. The right experts come. I mean, we don't always anticipate everything, but generally it's pretty good. What's bad is enforcement and maintenance after the fact. And zoning is not designed to do that. I think the Board of Health is more so. But if we are to do this, I think we need to think very carefully about how it's done and how we ensure that it stays safe. And I really do worry. Some of these big installations that have thermal runaways that get beyond the fire protection systems need gallons, thousands and millions of gallons of water poured on them. It's the only way once they get past the built-in protections to get them out. And I worry about our water supply. We just couldn't handle that. So, so it's understanding what the risks are and then understanding how to manage them, I think, is critical. And I'm also concerned about this new siting procedure and the fact that whether it's solar installations, battery, we're going to, as a town, have to review things very carefully. And I think we need to get our ducks in a row ahead of time. So we have established the criteria we want and the procedures we want. And the areas of town that we think are the most sensitive and have already demonstrated this so that we can just show it to state people and say, look, we've thought this through carefully. We care about this. This is what we want to do.
Okay. So I've been taking notes here. And there are four things that Michael brought out. I probably offline would want to have a conversation to understand what Michael already knows about those four areas. One of the things I heard among what people were saying was we have tools for in zoning for things like looking at site plans and being able to require things when it's built, but not all of the risks would be alleviated that way, that some are ongoing. So we don't really we're unlikely to come up with a one size fits all sort of solution to the safety issues. And I think that's really what everybody is mostly concerned with. So it sounds like it may be that we all need to understand better what are the known risks. And I don't want to get my information from scaremonger.com. I would like to get like real information about what are the things we have to plan for and what then can we do about ongoing risks and risks that can be kind of nipped in the bud. What can we do at the start to make it so that facility is going to have the best chance of not having any of these any possible effects. So I sort of feel like the first point might be to do a little research about the safety issues. Somebody will need like maybe a couple of people to look at those. We also maybe can, as we're having that discussion in the back of our mind, maybe the folks who have experience on the planning board can be thinking of what kinds of things would zoning law or zoning, our own zoning procedures, what kinds of those things can be addressed there. And maybe our people who have more experience in Board of Health can help us figure out if what we need is a policy, or do we need a local bylaw? Do we need, like, what do we need to give our Board of Health the tools they would need to be able to look at those ongoing things, like making sure they're being maintained properly to maintain safety. That's just kind of a first thought about, having heard from almost everybody already. I'm not sure exactly how to proceed on the safety issues. But let's see, I'm coming up on like a month with no classes. Woo. So I think I can probably do a little bit of work. Mostly I'm going to first walk across the street to Michael's house and chat with him about what he already knows. Is there anybody who has what you consider good sources for information about risks, either of the kind that Michael mentioned or other risks And I would say just things where there's documented science behind it would be really good. I think I saw George put up his hand. Go ahead, George.
Yeah, I'm coming at this from the perspective of the Conservation Commission and a couple of things. I've done a quick search and looking to see what DEP has done or how they weighed in on this in terms of wetlands protection. And the Mass Association of Conservation Commissioners is a good resource. I do have contacts of both of those that I plan on investigating to see if there's been any thinking or development of policy or guidelines in those respects. Also, in terms of process, I know with the Concom, when we do permitting, that it's very typical of us to attach conditions that can involve ongoing monitoring, extending out over a period of years with specific requirements for resources and what we're looking for. And we're reporting back on that, and often for us doing site inspections annually.
Oh, okay.
Some of the bigger things, yeah.
So thank you, because I hadn't thought of Concom, and of course, duh. Right? But between Board of Health and Concom, that's where the ongoing is going to be probably.
Yeah, because we do have enforcement capabilities such as they are, which Board of Health also has, but ZBA is not an enforcement board, and Planning Board, to my knowledge, is not either.
Okay. I see Paul's finger up and Michael's as well. I don't know whose was first, so let me go Paul and then Michael.
Yeah, so George just touched on this a little and Judy wrote it up in more detail, but my question is about the jurisdictional nature of citing and then running a system like this. Not that we would run it, but for instance, the electrical grid is under the purview of the Department of Public Utilities, and we don't have much say over the electrical grid, even though we're talking about what will become a part of the electrical grid. And I don't know if the regulatory people that work for DPU would have or have any interest in or involvement with energy storage systems, especially large ones. I don't know what their role is with large solar arrays either, or how much is a town issue. Like if we don't like somebody X, company X energy storage system, what power do we have over them doing whatever they want? Or what power does anybody have over a private interest or even a quasi-public interest doing what it wants? I just don't know the answer to that, except for allowing, I mean, we have zoning laws that specify certain size of system. I think it's 100 megawatts is approved by the state or somehow monitored by the state, and below that it's a consolidated town approval issue. And I'm not exactly sure what that is or how that works, but I'm sure somebody does. But that's my question. It's a question, not a statement of fact. I don't know.
Okay. I think it may be similar to how the DPU is involved with solar systems that go up. The commercial ones, not the ones on the roof of your house.
Right, like the
But
near the
that's,
transfer
but we
station.
don't know what that, you're saying you don't know what that is exactly either. I think whatever they are subject to our local zoning and they are subject to, if we can do it, some ongoing, monitoring and inspections either through our conservation or health. I'm gonna let Michael go and then I see, Judy's also got her hand up.
I'll just be quick, just that wanted to mention, I will piggybacking on what George was saying, you're absolutely right that, we certainly have septic systems that require a more frequent pump and we require, the resident to supply those records more often. And I think anything along these lines, we want to really have a hard and fast maintenance check. Most of these safety issues from mechanical, electrical, age are all over, managed through a consistent maintenance contract. And we would want to see documented evidence that those maintenance are occurring and reports of, anything untoward along those lines. So, but I think it sure sounds like we have a lot to learn.
Mm. Okay, I think Judy was next.
I'd like to go back to the understanding the safety issues. I wondered if Erica might check with FERCog's planning people or some part of FERCog and see if anyone there has assembled a good background on safety or issues of things that should be looked at. I know
I think that's an excellent idea, because that means Erica has to do it and none of us. No. I mean, we should all look at things as well, but Erica, would you look into resources
I
like
can,
that?
I'll help you.
I
know
will
who
reach out to
FERCog is
FERCog.
our.
I know who they
Yeah,
are.
they are, okay.
Yeah, Judy, we'll get to that a little bit later in the agenda where we actually assign tasks, but I do think it's important to note where we are on time. And
Yeah.
Judy, thank you for, I'm happy to reach out to you for if you have advice on who to reach out to there.
Well, the other
Yep.
thing on zoning, the town doesn't have a whole lot of latitude because of the exceptions for solar that have been extended to batteries. So I think we can specify what we think are things that fall under the exclusion of health and safety and public welfare. But the experience I've seen of the Attorney General's office is that they do not interpret these loosely and are very reluctant to accept town's definitions of what a safety issue is. But the more documentation we can give, the better.
Yeah, that's why we have to get ourselves educated.
Yep.
I think Brent has been waiting patiently, but I also want to check in with Doug because he doesn't have a way to put a hand up, I don't think, on the phone. So after Brent, I'm going to check in with Doug and see what Doug has to say.
Thanks. Well, I really support Judy's comments about understanding the risks and safety issues here and the issue of, probability versus impact. I want to put out there that at a time when the board was looking into this a bit, I came across the fact that the National Fire Protection Association has a fire protection code that's embedded in state law for building various kinds of things. And there's a whole relatively new section in the National Fire Protection Code, the NFP 1 code, pertaining to battery energy storage systems. So I'm going to personally take this on to dig this up, try to share this around. It's very detailed. It doesn't address all the valid questions that Judy pointed out. Like, it's one thing to say you're complying to a code, maybe at the time of construction, but what about ongoing maintenance and things like that? But I think we should educate ourselves on this fire code. And I would, in a similar vein, suggest that we reach out, and again, I can take this on, reaching out to our own fire chief to get essentially some input or comments on his experience just dealing with battery issues, whether they've been car fires or whatever. But we can tap some other resources in town to get more information.
All right, good. So we're going nicely into the homework assignment phase, which is actually number 4. But let me check in first with Doug. Doug, do you have anything you want to add to what you're hearing here? Okay, Doug is still muted, so I can't hear if he's saying anything.
Is it possible he's driving or?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, since we're not getting a response, let me move on. I see Paul's hand is up as well.
Just a quick comment. I've been thinking about this as we're talking and wondering if this isn't like our Whately water supply, that provides water to everybody. A battery provides electricity or energy to everybody. So there's similar distribution systems. And I'm not sure how the water people, because a lot of us have our own water supply, but how the water board regulates and inspects itself and on what frequency, and maybe that's a possible analogy to this solar storage battery issue. Just throwing that out there.
Okay.
Doug is unmuted.
Hey, Doug. Doug, you have something you want to add in here? Hmm. I'm not able to hear Doug. Is anybody able to hear Doug?
No,
Nope.
Oh, Doug. We're not able to hear you. I don't know if you're trying to say something and we're just not able to pick it up. Well, clearly, we're going to give Doug a really big homework assignment. That's what I think we should do, right? Maybe we've got sort of two other things to resolve in the next, say, 20 minutes or so. And one is to determine meeting frequency going forward and to like do some initial assignments of some research and outreach tasks before our next meeting. Brant has nicely volunteered to look into those two things, the National Fire Protection Code and the update for battery storage, and to reach out to our own fire chief. I think that's great. I think we can have more than one person looking into safety issues, I think, absolutely. So I guess part of answering the question of how frequently to meet would also kind of go with like how um like how much do we like I don't want to wait for 5 people to do 4 weeks worth of research to try and read the night before. So I feel like maybe we could at least initially meet a little more frequently as we're learning more, because we'll have more questions and then we may need to discuss like what's important, what to elevate, what to look into further. As for myself, this is my winter break. So as I go through the next month, I've got no classes during the day, so I've got time. So I'm wondering if at least initially we could meet, say, 2 weeks from now, and then plan to meet like every 2 weeks for the next, say, 4 weeks. And then at that point, reassess and see if going to more like a monthly, or if we want to keep meeting every 2 weeks and get our stuff, get our poop in a group, so to speak, more quickly.
Could I
Does
amend
anyone
that?
have a thought on that? I see Erica's got her hand up.
2 weeks from now is New Year's Eve.
Oh, well, you're not doing anything New Year's Eve, are you? Right?
I just
No, it
thought,
doesn't have to be exactly 2 weeks, obviously. But something like I feel like we could get off to a better start if we maybe have a little bit more frequent meetings, and we'll have gathered maybe a less information in those 2 weeks rather than having 4 weeks. But I feel like I would get something out of hearing from people sooner rather than later, even if what I'm hearing back is a little bit less. And I would be happy. I'm opening up my calendar even right now. I'd be happy to set a date for a next meeting that's sort of on the 2 week time horizon.
I think that makes a
knowing
lot of sense.
Exactly 2 weeks is not good.
If one allows maybe 10 days for the holidays and then starts a 2-week cycle.
Then that's 4 weeks. That's 4 weeks. Would January 2nd or 3rd? Well, 3rd is a Friday. Usually people don't want to meet Fridays, although we're allowed to, I think. Would January 2nd or 3rd be too soon.
I
It
don't
would,
think so, and I like the idea of kind of ramping up here, so at least we're going in the right direction and have a focus. I think it would be helpful to meet in a couple of weeks, even if it's not the entire group, but the folks who are, digging through some of the research.
Yeah. And
Agreed.
I would be very much see that meeting as a preliminary, hey, here's what I've learned, and then we may have a better way of kind of organizing it and then knowing what things do we really, does it look like we would have some success focusing on for possible zonings or bylaws and other things for possible, I don't know what we'd have to do to give the Concom and the health agent or the Board of Health the support they would need, but we might have a better idea in 2 weeks of what the really big risks are. And then know where to, know a little bit more about what we need to learn. So go ahead, Erica.
I would just note that for me, as well as for in terms of what folks said, was generally that it looked like Tuesdays were better for us to meet. I can meet on that one Thursday, but I can't meet regularly on Thursdays.
Uh-huh. What about Mondays? The 30th is also in that same week, so I could put December 30th or January 2nd.
I can do either of those dates.
I can't do the 30th. I can do the 2nd.
Okay,
and I can't really do anything until the week of the 6th. Sorry.
okay. Well, if you learned something that you can email to us, that would be good. It wouldn't be the whole group, and we would miss you terribly, Brant.
I can do either the 30th or the 2nd.
Okay. Paul, Doug,
I can do either.
okay.
I don't know. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now, yes.
Oh, okay. I guess I'm not in a position right now to know what, I'm just sitting in a car in the center of South Deerfield. I don't know what
Oh,
other
okay.
obligations I have.
Huh.
Oh, okay. And we're still talking about like a 5 o'clock in the evening meeting? Okay, well, let's tentatively say then, let's get a meeting posted for January 2nd, 5 p.m. And we can make it, I'm fine with keeping it all Zoom. And then let's have maybe everybody's job could be to bring in at least one safety or environmental issue that they have researched a bit about. And looks like some of us already have a head start on that. And let us also email each other the information in advance. So for posting, Erica, can we put the doing the posting of the, I guess we don't have to post the meeting,
Sound
but I
like
think
it
we
needs
should.
to be, yeah.
So Erica, would you take the task of getting the meeting posted for January 2nd?
Yep.
And get the Zoom link
Yep.
and that's all that sort of stuff? Okay, and go ahead, Doug.
Oh, no, I wasn't trying to talk. I was just muting myself because I think it might be loud in a second.
Oh, okay. All right. And all right, so we're gonna do something about understanding the risks better. That's what everybody's assignment is. And the folks with planning board background will be thinking in terms of what could we do during, I don't know, site plan review, or you all know that stuff better than me. And those on conservation committee and board of health can think about what those boards might need in terms of these things. And I'm just gonna go educate myself as much as I can. Erica's gonna reach out to the FERCog and maybe beyond that if they give you places to look beyond. But what I really like is that nobody said, "Hey, Brant, yeah, we should be the like never have batteries ever group." And I think that's healthy and probably the best legal path for us to take anyway. So I'm happy to be working with everybody. I'm gonna go back and pull up the agenda again here. So we've all got some small research tasks. Then
Can I
Erica,
just clarify what I've written down for the research tasks?
yeah,
I have everyone to research one safety, environmental, planning, or conservation issue and email it to us in advance. I had that you, Joyce, would reach out to FERCog. Is that true?
no, that's you. That's Erica's
That's what
gonna.
I thought, but you said something about FERCog, so I was
I know, I was just reiterating that you're gonna reach out to FERCog.
okay. And then I have Brent reaching out to researching the NFP code as well as reaching out to the fire chief.
Okay,
And I will reach out to FERCog.
okay. Great. Well, I'll see as many of you as possible on January 2nd at same bat channel, same bat time. And does anybody have anything else they want to say before we adjourn?
Happy holidays.
Oh, yes.
Yes, happy
Mhm.
holidays, everyone.
And
Good to
Erica,
meet you all.
Feel better, Erica. Sorry to
Thank
hear you're
you.
not well.
Yeah, me too.
Okay,
All right.
all right, well, I would entertain a motion.
Second, adjourn.
All right.
I move we adjourn.
I'll second that.
Okay,
Mm.
let's see, all those in favor, I'll do a roll call. Michael,
Yes.
George,
Yes.
Judy,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Brent,
yes.
Doug.
Yes.
And I don't know if Erica's a voting member, but I'll let you vote. Erica,
Yes. Do I
okay,
have to include the motion to adjourn in our notes?
I don't know.
This is ad hoc committee.
So
Yeah,
very good.
I'm not too
It
concerned, but
passed. I'm not gonna put who, you know.
all right. Okay, well, good night, everybody. Thanks for
night.
doing that,
Good
and
night,
Night.
good night, Chairperson
see you in
Joyce.
the new year.